Welcome to PNW Prop Stars, the only Seahawks only gambling show in the multiverse. I am your host, Clinton Bonner, and today I've got just one person with me so far. However, it's a really important person. This is the Princetonian of Parlays, Mr. Wilson Kahn. Once again, the PNW Prop Star Champion of the Week. Wilson, man, we missed you last week, buddy. And, you know, whether it was the Hawker was off, whether it was you not being here, whether it was the fact that Adam had to go work in the middle and couldn't watch the game live, regardless, what a just yuck game we experienced versus the Ravens. And boy, are we glad to see you again, man.
Yeah, I got to say, I appreciate you shouting me out as the PNW Prop Star of the Week, but this is one of those ones that I really struggle to take pride in. It reminds me of last year, week 2 against the Niners, where same situation. We went 1 for 12.
Yeah.
I hit Seahawks defense touchdown, and I won the week, but it doesn't feel like a win, and this is one of those situations.
Doesn't feel so good. And what also doesn't feel so good right now is that we are missing Adam this week. He just can't be with us today. We'll get his bets on screen later, though. We may have a special guest star dropping in. And if you watch the Seahawkers Podcast Network, you could probably deduce who it might be. All right, well, let's get this on screen, though. Wilson did mention it. And, Wilson, if you could be one thing, be efficient. So I put the giant X across Adam and I's section. You can, and I kept it a little transparent too, because you can see I had the opacity. I moved the opacity, Wilson. So if folks want to peek behind the curtains to see what failed and what failed miserably, well, it's there. We're not trying to be non-transparent here, only slightly non-transparent. You mentioned your win, but this was part of the game though, right? Like first punt for both teams. It was 0-0 at the end of quarter one. We were feeling, I felt okay about this in spite of the offense's early woes. But you were on that one, so good job at plus 290. That means a $10 bet nets you $29 or $19 profit. It all washes. You won $8 on the week, which is 26% higher. Again, you could anybody watching on YouTube, you could figure out the math on the right-hand side for Adam and I, because it ain't that hard. Wilson does take the championship once again, so it is in honors. You are at the tee box. You will get bet one versus the Commanders. They got to come all the way out west. Pretty interesting team, man. You see playmakers. You see a young quarterback who can sling the ball. You see running backs who maybe can get it done. You see a pretty good wide receiving core. So as we look at the bets, it'll be interesting to see if any themes develop between you and me and other bets that might fly in. So, all right, Wilson, why don't you take it away and let us know where you're going? Commanders versus Seattle. Bet one, $10 bet. Why are you taking it, dude?
Well, you might have seen on the graphic there, I got burned on the spread last week. Unfortunately, that is not enough to dissuade me. I really think this is going to be a bounce back game for the Seahawks for a couple of reasons. One, the Commanders' defense is really, really not good. I mean, the Seahawks, and we can talk about again whether how useful yardage is as an indicator. It's somewhat useful, especially when you get towards the bottom of yardage defense. Commanders are 28th, and I think total rushing and pass defense. That signals to me that the Seahawks offense will have a really good opportunity to get things going in this game. It's been lackluster for a couple of weeks. But for that reason, I'm taking Seahawks minus 6.5, and I'm parlaying that with Seahawks over 20.5 total points. And that gives me plus 106. So it's pretty conservative on the total points. You might ask questions about the spread, considering the team's play recently, but I like the Seahawks to win by a touchdown.
Yes, and I like Brandan coming off the top turnbuckle there. Brandan coming in to step in for Adam today. Hey, Brandan, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing great, man. I just came to hear what you guys had to say about this game because
hey, we like the smiling faces. We want you here. You got the great throwback hat. You come in with the smile. We can't say no to that, can we, Wilson? We just can't. And all right, so I almost took the Commanders getting 6.5. So because I think this game is going to be stupid close, and I think we win, but I'm really thinking it might be 27-24 or something like that, whatever. But Wilson, I do like the fact that if you're going to go minus 6.5, well, then you might as well take that parlay you took to get to plus money, because I mean, are we really going to win this game 19-12? Like that doesn't really, a 20-13 maybe, but probably not. So I like the idea that if we are to go minus 6.5 and cover the spread, then we're going to kind of have to be over 20, basically get to 21 or higher to achieve that. So I think it's a natural parlay. Brandan, I know you kind of swept it at the last second there, but what do you think of the Princetonians' faith in our Seahawks to bounce back?
Hey, it is time. They need to bounce back, and so I'm all for the bounce back bets.
All for the bounce back. All right. I will go up on my first down bet here. And for the listeners out there, these are our $10 bets. We do 3 rounds of them. And then we'll get to our Fail Mary, the $1, the Sunday rubber, of course, as everybody calls that across the universe. All right. I have a bit of a man crush on a certain Commanders player. I like Jahan Dotson. I liked him out of Penn State. I like what I saw last year. I did not like what I saw early this season. However, the last 2 games, it seems like they're kind of getting the groove back where they are making sure there's targets. And when you take Samuel out of the picture, he's been hurt. Well, guess what? The targets go somewhere. They've been going to Jahan Dotson. So I took a little parlay myself. The first thing that was on the board was like a 3.5 reception for over 3.5 receptions. That was like minus 160. I'm like, yeah, not quite spicy enough. And obviously Vegas thinks he's going to get 4 or more. I think he's in line to get 6 or 7 or 8 receptions. So I paired that with 60 plus yards receiving, and that gets me to a fairly spicy plus 176. I think Dotson's the exact type of receiver who will annoy the crap out of us, and I could easily see him smashing both of these. I might be getting a little greedy where I could have just taken the over 3.5 receptions. However, just like, my Jake Bobo instincts, I want more. Brandan, am I getting greedy?
Yeah, I think so. But I actually like the direction that you're going with receiving props for Washington, just because I think that overs might be a good chance, just because Sam Howell's been throwing it a lot, and I think they'll probably try and stick with that.
Yeah, they throw the ball like 40 something times a game. Wilson, anything you see there in terms of trends, or Sam Howell or Eric Bieniemy and just kind of this air raid Bieniemy that's going on?
No, but it does parlay a little bit into my second down bet.
Ooh, all right. You know what? Since we don't have and Brandan, I'm assuming you didn't come in hot with bets of your own. You're here to react, like you said.
Well, I'm just going to show up and listen and react to you guys and not pick one. No, I like.
All right. Well, then go ahead. You could pick 2, Brandan. You said you came in. You're like, I'm here to react. I don't know.
Come on. Terry McLaurin over 62.5. I know it's a high number, but with the way Washington throws it all over, minus 115. You like Dotson. I like their best receiver in Terry McLaurin. So yeah, that's what I'm going with.
So that was minus 115. Is that correct?
Right.
All right. So over 62.5, Scary Terry minus 115. And Wilson, it was sounding like you were hinting at there might be more there for you as well. You went first. So then actually this time I'll carry on to round 2, and then it'll be Brandan and back to the top for you. Look at us changing on the fly, boys, as we got Brandan in. Look at us doing things. Okay. The other piece of the game that might be bounce backy, that if it is bounce backy, will be us reestablishing the run. I hope we kind of need to. And I will say this at the onset, that I don't love this game. I don't love this game from a betting angle. This would not be something, if we weren't doing this show, where I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've got props I absolutely love, and I have a really strong opinion of where this game goes. I don't. With that, I looked at K9 and Charbonnet's, over-unders for their rushing yards. K9, 64.5, Charbonnet, 26.5. I like both of them to say, okay, that's about that's 91 yards. So if our Seahawks are going to perform, and we hear Shane Waldron say we're going to get back to basics, what does back to basics mean for this particular squad this year? It means 12 and 13 personnel. It probably means 18 touches for K9. 6 to 8 carries for Charbonnet. And if I start dividing those numbers, I like my chances. When I put those together, I get a pretty spicy plus 212. So another parlay, K9 and Sharps to go over there, over under rushing, plus 212. So Wilson, what do you think about the math there? And is it also good that my 200 ends with a 12? Because that's probably important.
Yeah, I was going to say the 212, second down, ending with 12. I don't see how that could go wrong in this game. So
it's got to be, right? So Brandan, I saw you doing a little bit of a little silent hemming and hawing. What do you think? Do you think both our running backs can get over the number that Vegas is saying.
Yeah, if they both get over that number, it's a win for the Seahawks, and so that's one of the reasons why I like that, and I think they're going to win. So, you may as well cash in on it.
I might as well, Cat. You can take that to the bank. All right, Brandon, take us to the bank. What do you got for your second down bet?
Oh gosh, okay. One of the things I wanted to look to see what Boye Mafe was, because last week for just a half of a sack, or over 0.5.
Yeah.
It was in plus territory. Not the case this week. So Vegas is on to us. We can't keep going and doubling down on Boye Mafe continuing his streak. So I think I will go with you know what? I think with them wanting to get JSN involved, I want to go a little bit more spicy. I'm going with JSN anytime touchdown score plus 225.
225 for JSN to get into the end zone. Okay, so Wilson, why don't you take the first reaction to that? Do you think JSN, if we're getting back to basics, does that mean JSN is basically getting in the end zone, or what do you think?
I'm not sure.
Keep in mind that they are lying when they say that.
Wait, that wasn't Pete Carroll at the podium. That was Waldron, right? So
yeah,
Pete Carroll, you can't believe anything he says at the podium, but Waldron, I don't know yet.
Yeah, I think I envision JSN getting into the end zone if this game turns into a bit more of a blowout, which actually will play into my fail Mary as well. But
nice.
On its own, I guess the odds are fine. I don't hate it.
Yeah, not horrible odds. I'd actually want a little bit more for JSN at this point, just because I don't know how much 11 personnel we're doing. And it might be like, hey, Bobo time, because we want to block a little better too. So we shall see, because there was no Bobo last week, and I think we all need a little more Bobo. All right, I know we need some more Wilson. Wilson, second down bet. What do you got?
Well, as I was saying, I'm betting on the Commanders at least throwing up some yards in the passing game this week, as you mentioned. They throw it a lot. Howell has broken 300 pretty easily both of the last two games. He almost had 400 against the Eagles 2 weeks ago. And the line for him this week is at 259.5, which felt a little bit low for me considering how the defense performed last week. Considering, as I was saying, he's been on a hot streak well above that number recently. In the four of the last 6 games, he's broken that. I think he's only been under 249 twice this season, if my notes serve me correctly. So I'm going to parlay my first down bet and then add Sam Howell over 259.5 passing yards, and that gets me to 296.
Ooh, so a nearly the near Wilson 300 on second down. Brandon, this is audacious. This is bombastic from the young in here. And just compiling, just saying that he feels so good about that first one. I'll say this: I feel better about your second part than your first part. I don't know of a universe where, I don't know, 260 or so, right, for Sam Howell. If he is indeed going to throw the ball 38, 42, 45 times, I don't know. It feels light. That part feels light to me too. Brandon?
Yeah, I don't know about this one, dude. But I didn't know about your punt bet last week either, and you crushed that one. So
it did save the day for all of us. We are forever in your debt. Thank you, Wilson. So we shall see. But hey, if that first part is trending right and the game goes our way and the Commanders are behind, right, which is what you're kind of banking on the first part, well, then he'll be chucking the ball. And I think you got a good shot at hitting that second part of that. So we shall see. All right, Brandon. Yeah, let's go to you, Brandon. So you would be up on the third down bet. What do you got, dude?
Okay. I think normally I like to step it up a little bit. I think I'm going to take a step back in this one and go back to kind of the one that I really think would hit, and that is Sam Howell over 14.5 rushing yards at minus 115. Not real spicy, but I think that our defensive line is going to have an opportunity to chase him around a little bit. He's going to have the opportunity to step up in the pocket and at least run for 5 or 6 yards 2 or 3 times this game.
It seems to happen against us where it might just be like, I know last week was Lamar Jackson. We talked about Boye Mafe getting around the edge, and he should have had a sack. Any other quarterback, including Sam Howell, it's a sack in the backfield, maybe even a strip sack. Lamar Jackson is otherworldly, and he escapes for a 19-yard freaking run. However, with that, it just seems to happen to us that maybe it's because we just don't have that next amazing piece quite yet. So like one dude will bust through, but then there's an opening. Like it's just sometimes we're not all together now with our pass rush. We get the first guy in, he barely misses, and Sam Howell has shown good escapability all the way back to his college days, especially junior year and then senior year too. And they also will design a little bit of stuff right around Sam
Howell. And it's
Howell.
kind of a bet on our coverage, right? Because if nothing's open downfield, he's got to look for a place to run, and 4 or 5 yards. 14.5 is not a big number if he rushes 3 times.
No, I don't hate it. Wilson, any particular feels one way or the other if Sam Howell somehow, some way gets over basically 15 yards rushing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised again for all the reasons that you guys were mentioning.
Yeah, I feel similarly. All right, I'm going to go up on my third down bet. I'm just going to keep on dialing up the spice, boys. This is like Dune over here. So I look at what Vegas is saying about how many points should be scored in general. Vegas is basically saying 27-20, essentially. That's basically what they're saying for the game. Now, whatever, they may be right or wrong. That'll go one way or the other. I like PATs made for both kickers to go over their overs from Vegas' perspective, which means Myers would need 3 PATs and Sly needs 2 PATs. I put them in a blender. I get to a spicy plus 250. So if I'm thinking the game is 27-24, which is where my brain's at, I do think this is a game that Seattle will score. I don't think 4 touchdowns. I really don't. But I do think we get in the end zone 3 times. And I also look at 2 more conservative, older school coaches with Rivera and Carroll that I think throw in the idea of the weird 2-pointer for the sake of a 2-pointer at some point kind of goes out the window with these guys, unless the math really dictates it. And I like that at plus 250. We shall see. It's a bit of a spin, but it is third down. It is a plus 250. So let's see. Wilson, before we get back to you, what do you think do you think we get enough points in the game? Basically, does Washington score twice for me to have a shot at this one?
Yeah, it's hard at those odds with a lot of things having to happen. You need 5 scores in that distribution. Then you need Myers to make it all of his and Sly to make all of his. And one thing you're discounting, Clinton, is that Riverboat Ron is on the other sideline. I don't think he's as conservative as you say. He's known, especially in sort of these environments where his team might be at a bit of a disadvantage on the skill side, to sort of throw out a joker or a wild card every once in a while. So I don't know.
Maybe it's just that he looks like a big librarian, just with his big glasses on the sideline there. And I guess you don't get the name Riverboat Ron without purpose, without some reason. So good call out there.
I find it so hard to bet on the Seahawks after one of these blowouts like this.
I know it's tough.
It's so hard. It's why I parlayed my first 2 bets together, because those were the ones I felt good about, just simple game bets. This is one that I actually feel really strongly about. It's a Wilson 400, almost a Wilson 500.
Oh, careful.
Kenneth Walker has not scored a touchdown in a month. And I guarantee you that's one of the things they're talking about this week in terms of getting back to basics, is giving him the catfish ball and giving him the ball in the red zone. So I'm taking Kenneth Walker to be the first touchdown scorer of the game at 475. The odds were so spicy, I couldn't say no.
Wow.
And part of me was thinking, they're seeing he hasn't scored in a month. What's going on with the Seahawks offense? Maybe he's not likely to be the first guy to get in. Catfish! All that. Kenneth Walker's getting in the end zone first, 475. Enjoy putting in the catfishes later.
Well, I got to jot it down. I'm jotting down catfish. I got 2 marks, 2 catfish marks there, because that plus 475 that's ultra spicy, like almost a Wilson 500. But these are the ones where I'd be so happy to text you and be like, holy crap, you nailed it. Brandan, what do you think? Do we envision we're inside the 5-yard line, drive 1 or drive 2 of the game? It's a 0-0 ball game, and Ken Walker gets the freaking rock and punches it in, and we're all texting Wilson. I don't want him to win, but I want us to win.
No, I want him to win this one for sure, because that means an early touchdown by our running back. And it's funny because I looked to see what it was for just anytime touchdown score, and it was minus odds for Walker, even though, like you said, he hasn't scored in a month. And I thought, man, I really, because if it would have been on the plus side, I would have leaned that way. But so I like where you went with this, and went with the first touchdown scored because, yeah, that I do like that a lot more.
Yeah, look at Brandon. He's all in his shoulders. He's smiling. He is giddy. You got him giddy about this one, Wilson. I like it. Well, we will continue to giddy up then. So we went through our 3. That means we're up on the Fail Mary. We go back to the top. That is Wilson's because he is the boy prince who keeps winning. Fail Mary has to be plus 1,200 or longer odds to qualify. It is only 1/10 of the bet. The regulars are $10. This is the $1 Sunday scratcher, the Sunday rubber. Wilson, what do you got for your Fail Mary?
Well, as I was saying, I think I like the Seahawks to win this game by a touchdown, but my Fail Mary has to do with this getting a little bit out of hand from the Commanders' perspective in terms of the Seahawks really dominating on both sides of the ball. So I have Seahawks over 30.5 points. Offense is really rocking. Who knows if we'll see that? It's Fail Mary for a reason.
Sure.
And they got to hold the Commanders to under 14.5. So this is a severe blowout, with JSN getting in the end zone, and that's 1,400.
The little appendage there. Well, if you get, there you go. All right. Well, there you have it. If we get the JSN touchdown, then Brandon's real happy about that, and you get to your plus 1,400. So, all right, again, it's $1, and if we're gonna put our heart into anything, then heck, it might as well be $1 American dollar and see if we can get it there. Brandon, that'd be nice for you. Why don't you take the Fail Mary bet, and I'll clean this up with the third one.
Yeah, well, whereas Wilson went with a bunch of different conditions, I just went with one dude who could go off, and that is tight end Noah Fant. Over 77 yards, plus 1,250.
Ooh.
Wow. That's
Clinton is very jealous that he didn't
find
this one.
I'm smitten. Are you kidding me? Wow. How did I not find this? Over 77 yards for Fant. And again, back to basics, right? So if Waldron's saying, back to basics, and Fant has shown the propensity to get good amount of yak, to break things. Wilson and I were there live at the Meadowlands when I thought I won a prop bet. But still over 77 yards at plus 1,250. I feel like you're really getting overpaid for what could be a good game. He gets
it doesn't have to be nuts. It doesn't have to be like 120 yards.
yeah. He's basically the Justin Jefferson of the tight end world. Yeah. But he does hover around 40 a lot and 50 a lot. And so, hey, 77, why not? Well, we were on the same wavelength there, Brandan, and I got to say, I like yours. I did find a Noah Fant prop because he's my main squeeze this year. This is simple. We get down to the 3-yard line. We fake little boot action from K9, and instead an easy dump off to Noah Fant for us to go up 6-0. Extra point goes through to help my other bet. 7-0 Seahawks. First touchdown of the game. Noah Fant gets me a spicy plus 1,600. So Brandan, I'm happy to help you out on your way to 77, especially if mine could be the first one in there, which hey, why not? It's
why can't it be an 80-yard touchdown right after the Eskridge tries to run it out of the end zone? They get stopped at the 20, and then Noah Fant rumbles and stumbles for 80 yards for the touchdown. We both win right out of the gate.
A tight end screen, basically a wide receiver screen to the slot. Good blocking with Bobo and others on the edge, and away he goes. Noah Fant rumbling, stumbling, bubbling for 6, and then a whole lot of money going around this table here. I love it. I love it a lot. Well, that was a ton of fun. This was a tough week for me. Like I said, coming off a blowout like we just suffered, it does scramble you. Your assumptions, your priors, the things you had as kind of like bedrock things. They start to whittle pretty quickly. So I felt like I had to take a step back and still be like, all right, still a 5-3 team, still in first place in the division or tied for first place in the division. Got an East Coast team coming all the way West Coast with a quarterback who's taken a ton of sacks, a little better lately, but still a ton of sacks. And what does that game look like if we hear Waldron at the podium saying we're getting back to basics? So I tried to formulate what I felt was in that pocket. I got to say, I like a lot of the things I heard today. Wilson, you're on the spicier side, but I guess when you're winning the way you are, just a train keep it rolling, dude.
Yeah, just, that's all. I only know how to play one way. So I tried 2 weeks ago. I had 2 minus bets, and if you're playing conservative, you're playing for last. So
That's it. And if you ain't first, you're last, as we know. So, all right, Brandon, you are heading out to the game. There's going to be a whole lot of flockers out there. One more reminder for the flockers, where are you going to be? How can they make sure they're part of it? What do they got to do to catch up with you and the crew out there?
Yeah, if you want to see where we're at, you can go up to getintheflock.com. You might have to scroll back a few posts, but we are getting together at Bahama Breeze on Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Also plan on meeting up at Touchdown City ahead of the game, and then it's a post-game katsu burger, will be the new tradition, I guess.
Oh, they are lovely, lovely burgers. All right, boys. Well, let's go have some fun. Brandon, enjoy the trek back out to Seattle. Wilson, enjoy the trek across campus. And I'm going to get my butt back to work. Boys, with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.